Don't be alarmed, people. It's just time for another fun-filled edition of the Environmental Journal, brought to you by the Minnesota State Lottery. Greetings. I am your host, Stephen Reynolds, and today we're going to take you to a Scarecrow Festival. And we're going to scare up some great stories, including one about a guy you can really count on when it comes to identifying birds in state parks. And speaking of birds, making duck decoys the old-fashioned way. And we'll show you how they're planting the seeds of preservation in some young minds. And up first, a club that takes nature photography very seriously. That and more is on this edition of the Environmental Journal. It's on right now.
I really like the fact that it gets me out of bed early in the morning.
Once you force yourself out of bed and get to where the pictures are, the natural area, it's just an absolutely unbelievable experience. Every morning to wake up like that.
The members of the Minnesota Nature Photography Club know all too well the old adage, the early bird gets the worm. Although, in this case, they are looking to get a different critter.
Grown men looking for spiderwebs.
And when they locate them, they're going to take pictures of them. That is the focus of this field trip to the Louisville Swamp in Shakopee.
Everything in nature is mysterious. They have a certain glow about it.
Getting together to be awed and inspired by nature is what this club is all about. It's been around since 1956, and the main rule is nothing but nature.
That's what makes these places so special for photographers, is that there's always a chance to get photographs that are really of subject to nature and nothing else.
Well, I do a lot of nature pictures, and the club gives me an opportunity to show some of my work. And also, I learn a lot because a club is a group of like-minded people who love nature, who love to take photographs of nature.
And in a group comes different points of view.
Is to learn how to take pictures, take them better than you have taken them in the past. We have salons and judging for that, and then these photo trips like this in the metro area where members can get together and look through each other's viewfinder and learn how to see what the other person sees when he sees that same thing you're shooting. So you can almost check the depth of field for these background sticks.
Oh yeah, they are really lit up. Events like this really helped me learn quite a bit. You've got guys like Dale who are not only good photographers, but they know so much about the conditions that create good photography.
Of course, if this were just about taking pictures, you could do that alone. Like any club, there is a social element.
Well, you certainly, as you've seen this morning, get a lot of camaraderie. You get to chat and kind of share this beautiful area out here, or any area that you're in. But you get to share the experience, people who have similar interests.
Communing with one another, as well as with nature. That's what you grow to appreciate in the Minnesota Nature Photography Club.
Even though nature is so powerful, some of the creatures are so tender, and I just love it, to be able to capture that tenderness on film.
Doesn't that look like a fun club? And they would love to have you as a member. If you're a budding young nature photographer, you might want to check that out. They have meetings every month, and they have those field trips where folks get together and go take nature pictures. And they have a website, and here it is right now. MinnesotaNature.org. Go on there for all the information about the Minnesota Nature Photography Club. There are some great photo opportunities where we are today, We are at Emma Crumby's, the 20th Annual Scarecrow Festival in Belle Plaine. And speaking of photo opportunity, I was pressed into service just a little while ago. A group wanted a picture in front of my big fat Greek scarecrow wedding, and I obliged. And, well, it was the last picture on their roll, so I hope that I got a good one. Yes, bunch of great scarecrows here, and of course, what do scarecrows do? They scare off the crows, and there's a guy doing that right now. Those dad-burned crows. And our next story is about a guy who's preoccupied with birds, but he's not interested in scaring them. He just wants to identify them. He walks, he looks, and he listens. When Bob Jansen is trying to find out where the birds are, he may even attempt to speak their language.
There's actually quite a few birds in there. There's ruby-crowned kinglets and chickadees and some warblers and these sparrows.
His work is for the birds.
Back in the mid-90s, I got a call from a resource manager in the state parks and she said, do you know of anybody who'd be interested in inventorying birds in the state parks? And I said, how about me? And she said, okay.
He's had a passion for Minnesota birds for over 60 years, but it wasn't until Bob retired that he was able to do what he loves full-time.
Turned into the perfect, for me, perfect retirement job.
The perfect job allows this author and bird enthusiast to travel all over the state and take an inventory of the birds in all of the 74 state parks. Information from this inventory is then compiled into a bird checklist.
It's a very nice piece to have. It's specific for each park. People know when they're going to see birds, and they know what to expect in each park rather than a broad list for the whole state.
The inventory has been completed in 43 parks, yet only a few of the parks already have their specialized checklist. So Bob has his work cut out for him. But work is really not the right word to describe how he feels about what he gets to do.
I guess I'd boil it down to one word. It's fascinating. Most fascinating thing a person can do, in my prejudiced opinion.
Yes, you could say Bob has a passion for the birds of Minnesota.
We think Minnesota will be the only state to have a standardized bird. There's an eagle that just went over.
And keeping focused on that passion is what makes Bob the right man for this fascinating job.
I think it just makes birders feel pretty good that somebody's paying attention to what birds are in the state parks and what a wonderful resource we have in these state parks.
Oh, hey, in the spirit of that last story, I thought I'd try and identify all the birds on this scarecrow. Well, let's start with the easy one. Of course, that's a crow. And, oh, I recognize this guy from my cartoon watching days. That's a Tweety bird, or a canary. And what the heck is, no idea. Some type of weird-looking duck, maybe. Well, obviously, I am no Bob the Birdman, and thanks to Bob, bird identification in state parks has never been easier. Good news for all you budding birders out there. Well, here's more good news if you love more Environmental Journal, because we're going to be back with a little more if you stick around through a short break. Ah! Ah! Here's what's coming up on the Environmental Journal. Don't know what to do with that clothing you've grown sick or out of? We'll show you how to get that material used again. And a little later, putting prairie preservation in the hands of young people.